T-Rex is back, but I don't know if he's gonna like this. Oh boy. It's at least gone above 20 T. There he is. There he is. Come on, T-Rex. Let's go. There he is. There he is. He's back. I have a feeling even the big furry Maine Coon cat's gonna have an issue with staying out the door this morning. Rex, almost there. Just give me a second. Nice job filling in yesterday, Steve. But the crowd really wants to see T-Rex back in action. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Let's go, T-Rex. We're back. We're back. It's so windy out that it's windy in. Look at the hair on the back of his neck. All the creatures that have been running around here during the night. And there's Steve. There's some blue sky, I see. And there are a lot of clouds. It's instability, low barometer cold, shutting the door. Not sure when mid is. And it's really challenging to explain what's happening in the weather department. The systems that are crossing the nation from the Pacific to the Atlantic are fairly weak. It's really the strong high pressure system in central Canada and across the central United States that's really in charge. And this pattern that we've evolved into here going into the second week, Steve, chasing the leaves of January is something none of us saw coming. About even 6 weeks ago when we did that winter forecast, talking all about the southeastern United States ridge, and we'd probably have a lot of storms missing us to the west because of that ridge, and instead they're missing us to the south because cold air from the North Pole has really overwhelmed the pattern, and there's not too much change in sight. Phone is ringing right now. We're Lundstedt calling. I hope it does not interrupt my taping of Out the Door Weather and More. There's always confusion, though. Sorry, Steve. Oh. Trying to do the weather and walk the cat and dog in such a complex pattern. Basically, everything that's been going on is going to keep on going on. I'm talking about in the last week. So much chatter about that GFS and potential snowstorms. Funny that Weir just called because Weir always posts those right away. And they're fiction. They've been fiction. And they're just like fiction in the hurricane season when the GFS proposes all these hurricanes coming our way. It's just a fickle model, and it's very unreliable in the big picture. Now, if the GFS for some reason were to become more consistent and the euro started getting all waffly, then we would consider using the GFS over the euro, but that has not been the case. And by the way, there's a bunch of global models, and the only global model that was correct on the White Christmas for Boston was the Canadian, which is also called the GEM. So what's going on right now? This morning when I looked at the temperature just around sunrise, it was colder in Worcester, Massachusetts, 14 degrees with wind gusting to 36 miles per hour, than it was in, say, Bethel, Maine, where I think it was about 17 and the wind was less intense. And even the Champlain Valley of Vermont was in the mid-teens. So we have sort of hybrid air in New England. The systems that are missing us to the south, they're fairly weak lows. Yeah, that storm that went through Kansas with all the ice and blizzard, there it is off to the south in Nantucket. It was only around 1,000 millibars. But then once they get over the ocean, now they have the fuel of the Gulf Stream and that cold across much of North America, and they are bombing out. And this one, too, is going to deepen from its current pressure somewhere around, I don't know, maybe it's just below 1,000 millibars, and it's going to end up going down to 990, 980, 970, 960, and maybe even 950. Bombogenesis, one after another, parade of storms in the Atlantic Ocean. And then when they get up to our north, like the one that's been stalled over Labrador now since 3 days ago, that bombed out and it's just sitting there underneath an upper level low. And that's causing air to come from the north, from north of Bermuda across the North Atlantic, then turn west into eastern Canada. So that's a maritime, fairly warm comparatively, air mass coming into eastern Canada. And then it runs into that frigid Arctic air across central Canada, and it pushes south into New England. And the temperature on Mount Washington yesterday got up to 7, and then this morning it's back down to 11 below. It's a blender in the sky, and we keep getting these warmer and colder intrusions from the north. Mount Washington, by the way, has yet to gust to 100 miles per hour today. It is less windy. It's almost the same wind gusts on Mount Washington this morning. Well, that's an exaggeration. The wind has only gusted to 72 on Mount Washington so far today, but I'll give it another 12 hours to see if we get to 100 miles an hour 6 days in a row. It's going to be close. But note the temperatures, they're fairly equal throughout New England at lower elevations, and there's wind hold issues again. Blizzard conditions reformed at Jay Peak last night, and I'm not even sure exactly why. It's like these warm pulses followed by cold pulses and surface troughs on the west side of that ocean storm and on the east side of our strong high pressure system across the central United States and south central Canada. And it looks almost like there's a St. Lawrence River effect snow happening in northern Vermont. Also, the Champlain snow plume has redeveloped. So there are snowflakes just about anywhere in New England today. And I think that we're still on the edge of the coldest air for southern New England. It's probably coming in tomorrow. All right, Steve, I'll undo you because T-Rex just keeps tangling you up. You're free to go wherever you want now, Steve. Please don't disappear on us. And Rex is so chill. Oh, Rex is ready to go inside. Shall we give a timeout and get Rex inside? What is that, Rex? What lives down there? All right, timeout, intermission. You made it 5 minutes. Very good. Yeah, I got a snow shovel sitting there ready to go. I thought for sure I would be shoveling snow by now. We wanted ankle deep at least on Steve. And is it going to ever snow again in southern New England? I don't know. Maybe in a couple of weeks, but certainly not in the short term. I think I'm just going to skip over most of the things. We've had a couple of requests. You know, Eric in Epsom, New Hampshire, says the Suncook River, it had froze and then it thawed. I did not expect that thaw, that New Year's thaw. And he says, I don't think it's going to freeze again. I say, Eric, I think it probably will freeze again. Here is the meteogram for 14 days in Epsom, and that looks pretty cold. Temperature's getting down to 10 to 15 degrees at night and staying below freezing all day. I think the Suncook River is going to freeze again. And on Martha's Vineyard, Ben says it snowed yesterday. And you're back there, Blair on Nantucket, made a video of the snow on Nantucket yesterday, which was day 6 in a row of snow in New England. And today is day 7 in a row of snow in New England. We just saw the blizzard there at Jay Peak. And Ben, I think on Martha's Vineyard, you may get a little tiny coating of snow with this weekend system that the GFS has been teasing everybody with. Why? Look at that. All right, I'm tempted to take my gloves off and to zoom. I can't imagine the ships crossing the North Atlantic with these storms one after another. Look at these white caps. Ice building on our rocks. It's been too windy to make real ice, and you really want temperatures down closer to 10 than 20 for nighttime lows to get this ice to build. And I think we will get some slushy ice. I'm heading north, though. And so I want to show the really big picture like I did yesterday. I have to do this because this low that's gone south of Nantucket yesterday is going to do the same thing the last couple have done, and it's going to go into the North Atlantic, and it's going to bomb out. And so I show this really big picture because I can't fit it on any other scale, where you see the lows going east and then north and then deepening through the 970s, 960s, 950s, and then stalling and backing westward, sending a lot of energy into eastern Canada. That would be warmer energy and tightening our isobars. And it just means it's going to get more windy before it gets less windy. And then the weekend system, there it goes across the southeastern United States. Doesn't look that strong, does it? But it's beating down through that ridge we were supposed to have, and then it goes near Bermuda and then north, and it bombs out again. Another low going into the 960s. And then that one kind of spins around, keeping it fairly windy, but a little less windy here over the weekend because we're going to have a little low coming at us instead of a high. And then another system forecast to bomb out a new storm, kind of cyclogenesis there in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, just on the boundary between the cold and the warm. And that one is forecast to go into the 940s, 940 something millibars south of Greenland. That is a hurricane. So essentially, we're just keeping the hurricane season going, but instead of warm core storms, they're cold core storms. And that tightens up our pressure gradient. Again, next week, it doesn't really change too much. It should turn warmer at some point. And I think on the backside of all this cold, 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 we are probably going to get a big storm coming through New England. And that would be probably after January 20th. In the meantime, I do think we're going to rebuild that ice on the Suncook River. Am I saying that right? Or is it Suncook River? And I think ice boating, yeah, Bruce, in Connecticut, we'll probably have some pretty good ice boating going on, just because of the persistent cold air and wind hold issues. It gets colder before it gets warmer tomorrow, and then the weekend does look a little less windy. Have I covered most of the things I wanted to cover? The North Atlantic Oscillation holding strong there. A lot of uncertainty late in the period, whether that's going to go positive or negative. Probably go neutral, somewhere in the middle there. And that's when the storms will start coming back at us. A lot of people recalling those blizzards we had, what was it, almost 30 years ago, 29 years ago, 1995, 96 winter. I'll never forget that. We had about 30 inches of snow in a couple of weeks. And then I also will never forget that it all melted. By the end of the month, there was no snow on the ground. So we have always had extreme weather. It's extremely windy and cold. And despite that, I'm going to go out the door in Vermont tomorrow morning. Our Enmore yesterday, traveling to Cape Cod to reunite with T-Rex. Thank you, Charette family and Kravchuk family, for taking such good care of our baby. Angel's like, he's not going home now. He's staying with us. And he gets the chicken when he has dinner at the Kravchuks. Anna taking care of T-Rex. Appreciate it. And I'll leave you with a little bit of Fallon's Pond, Bass River. Not ice. It was ice on Christmas Day, but it's not ice now. But I think that we will have several inches of ice here on Bass River by January 15th or so. That's my prediction for that. And so a time lapse also of the system just missing New England to the south yesterday with the clouds over Cape Cod. And it's probably going to happen again on Saturday and then again next week. More snow for Texas than Massachusetts. All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Steve won't be there. Steve will be down here. Look at him. Just this fur ball chasing leaves. All right. And more from yesterday. All right. Well, we've got progress. Trees are getting cut down here in North Weymouth. We're getting a new walkway connecting the old beach and the new beach. Yay, I think. Let's go find a T-Rex. Connecticut license plate. Massachusetts sense of humor. Just about 4 o'clock. It's still kind of bright considering that dark cloud. It actually looks dark enough. Might we see a few snowflakes, T-Rex? "29 degrees. Crossing over to Cape Cod. Plenty cold. Looks like snow to the south, but good sunshine. It's like Virgo though, with another sunset over the Cape Cod Canal. A million times. Told you to stop exaggerating. Not Chuck. Oh, one of those sunsets that keeps getting better. You know where we are? This is not ski country. I think this is T-Rex country. Anybody home? Hello?
He doesn't want to go home.
He doesn't want to go home.
No.
He forgot who.
He wants to stay here with me.
Well, I want to stay here. It smells like somebody's been cooking.
Yeah, we made chicken soup this morning.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to admit he got a few pieces. He doesn't eat his kibble well, you know, unless we put chicken in it.
He takes right after Regis, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Aw. Thank you so much, Angela.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy. T-Rex, you gonna climb my leg or what?
Yeah. He's been waiting for you, kind of.
Looks like there may be a little precipitation coming out of the cloud, but evaporating before it reaches the ground here back on Bass River, where there was ice on Fallon's Pond on Christmas Day. And then we had that 8-day thaw. So it'll probably freeze up this week, but whether it gets thick enough like when we were young to ride our motorcycles out there, yeah, we did in the middle of the winter, about the age 14. It would have been about 50-something years ago. No, 40-something. And just a time lapse of the clouds over Bass River yesterday. Today, but today is now yesterday, and more. Hope you enjoyed the reunion with T-Rex this morning.